Shalom, family. This is Yuda Yasharel. I want to talk to you today about Second Baruch and the 12 parts. Before I get started, I want to share something with you. I've had this lesson prepared for better than a week, and for some reason, I have been struggling to bring this lesson out. I don't understand why. I don't know the answer to why do I feel so nervous. I've never felt like this before. But as I read through Second Baruch, I see so much, and the more I see, the more I find. And it's so much that I cannot put all of it in one lesson. So for this lesson, I'm going to ask that you guys pay very close attention to what is being said, because this thing Baruch is telling us, this thing that he prophesied, it is today. The things that he talks about is happening as we speak. The chaotic events of this world today is testimony to Baruch's prophecy. It's unfolding right in our faces. And I fear that the majority of our people fail to see this. I hear people on YouTube teaching about the second Exodus. And I think it's been about 5 people that I've watched so far. And out of all 5 of these people, none of them ever mentioned the eclipse. There was an eclipse during the first Exodus in 1339 BC. They don't mention that. Then there was the eclipse in 2017. That made the line across the U.S. And then there's the eclipse coming in 2024, which crosses to make an X pattern, which ends up making the center of that X over a town in Illinois called Little Egypt. This is no coincidence, but the fact that they don't mention this tells me they don't really understand what they are trying to teach. Now, I'm not trying to make these people look bad, but the Exodus, the second Exodus and the coming eclipse is key. It's significant. And to leave that out, clearly to me, that means you don't understand. So we're going to go through Second Baruch and the 12 parts. Also, there's other things that I've added to this lesson, which y'all bear with me, but it's if I slip, just stick with me and just try to hear the word. And I will try to explain as best as I can what it is that I'm seeing. And I hear these people talking about the Creator spoke to them. Well, remember the 400 years of silence? Now, the problem with that is the Romans were notorious for backdating, and they chose the number of years 40. 40 to the 10th power is 400. Now, I don't know how that fits, but I know that it's significant. And maybe I'll get the vision of that later on. But as of right now, I really honestly can't tell you. But I know the number 400 is very key. So let's start. Second Baruch, chapter 20, verse 4. Zion has been taken away to hasten the advent of the judgment. Second Baruch, chapter 20, verses 1 to 5. Therefore, behold, the days come, and the times shall hasten or speed up more than the former, and the seasons shall speed on more than those that are past. This is saying the years will pass faster than they have been before. The days, the weeks, the months, they will seem to go by so fast. And I'm sure that I'm not the only one have ever said this. Wow. It seemed like just yesterday we were just 2 months into the new year. And we're here now almost at the beginning of a new year. That's how fast these times are passing. And the years shall pass more quickly than the present years. These things are happening right now. And I know you have said it yourself. This month passed by so fast. Yeah. Therefore, have I now taken away Zion. that I may more speedily visit the world in its season. Now therefore, hold fast in your heart everything that I command you, and seal it in the recesses of your mind. And then I will show you the judgment of my might. He didn't say, I will tell you. So he's not speaking verbally or audibly. He's saying, I will show you the judgment of my might and my ways, which are unsearchable. Go therefore and sanctify thyself 7 days. He's talking to Baruch. And eat no bread, nor drink water, nor speak to anyone. And afterwards come to that place, and I will reveal myself to you, and speak true things with you. And I will give you commandments regarding the method of the times, for they are coming, and tarry not. 21, verse 1 to 9. And I went there, this is Baruch speaking, and I went there and sat in the valley of Kidron, and the cave of the earth, and I sanctified my soul there. And I ate no bread, yet I was not hungry, and I drank no water, yet I thirsted not. And I was there till the 7th day, and as he had commanded me. And afterwards I came to that place where he had spoken with me. And it came to pass at sunset that my soul took much thought. And I began to speak in the presence of the Mighty One, and said, O you that have made the earth, hear me, that have fixed the firmament by the word, and have made firm the height of the heaven by the Spirit, that have called from the beginning of the world that which did not yet exist, and they obeyed you. You that have commanded the air by your nod, and have seen those things which are to be as those things which you are doing. You that rule with great thought, the hosts that stand before you, also the countless holy beings which you did make from the beginning, of flame and fire. So the angels, all of them, were made from flame and fire, which stand around you. Your throne you rule with indignation. To you only does this belong. To, to you only does this belong, that you should do forthwith whatsoever you do wish. Who causes the drops of rain to rain by number upon the earth. He knew the number of drops of rain, and alone knows the consummation, end of times before they come. Have respect unto my prayer. For you alone are able to sustain all who are, and those who have passed away, and those who are to be, those who sin, and those who are to righteous as living, and being past finding out. For you alone do live immortal, and past finding out, and know the number of mankind. And if in time many have sinned, yet others, not a few, have been righteous. 21 verses 12 to 18. This is Baruch's depreciation of this life. You know where you preserve the end of those who have sinned, or the consummation of those who have been righteous? For if there were this life only, which belongs to all men, nothing could be more bitter than this. For of what profit is strength that turns to sickness, or fullness of food that turns to famine, or beauty that turns to ugliness? For the nature of man is always changeable. For what we were formerly now, we are no longer, and are what we now are, we shall not afterwards remain. There will be changes. For if a consummation had not been prepared for the end of times, had not been prepared for all, in vain would have been their beginning. But regarding everything that comes from you, do you inform me, and regarding everything about which I ask you, do you enlighten me? Chapter 21, verse 19 to 26. Baruch prays to God to hasten the judgment and fulfill his promise. Baruch is in a hurry. How long will that which is corruptible remain? And how long will the time of mortals be prospered? And until what time will those who transgress in the word be polluted with much wickedness? Command therefore in mercy, and accomplish all that you said you would bring, that your might may be made known to those who think that you your long suffering is weakness, and show to those who know that everything that has befallen us and our city until now has been according to the long suffering of your power, because on account of your name you have called us a beloved people. Bring to an end, therefore, henceforth mortality, and reprove according to the angel of death, and let your glory appear, and let the might of your beauty be known, and let Sheol be sealed, so that from this time forward it may not receive the dead, and let the treasuries of souls restore those which are enclosed in them. For there have been many years like those that are desolate from the days of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and all of those who are like them, who sleep in the earth, who sleep in the earth, on whose account you did say that you had created the world. In other words, the world was created for the Hebrew Israelites. And when I had completed the words of this prayer, I was greatly awakened. Chapter 22, verses 1 to 7. And it came to pass after these things that lo, the heavens were opened, and I saw, and power was given to me, and a voice was heard from on high, and it said unto me, Baruch, Baruch, why are you troubled? He who travels by a road but does not complete it, or who departs by sea but does not arrive at the port, can he be comforted? Or he who promises to give a present to another, but does not fulfill it, is it not robbery? Or he who sows the earth, but does not reap its fruits in its season, does he not lose everything? Or he who plants a plant useless unless it grows till the time suitable to it, does he who planted it expect to receive fruit from it? Or a woman who has conceived, if she brings forth untimely, does she not assuredly slay her infant? Or he who builds a house, if he does not roof it and complete it, can it be called a house? Tell me that first. Baruch 23, verses 1 to 7. And I answered and said, Not so, O Lord, my Lord. And he answered and said unto me, Why therefore are you troubled about that which you know not? And why are you ill at ease about things in which you are ignorant? For as you have not forgotten the people who now are, and those who have passed away, so I remember those who are appointed to come. Because when Adam sinned, y'all listen to this carefully. Because when Adam sinned and death was decreed against those who should be born, then the multitude of those who should be born was numbered. And for that number, a place was prepared where the living might dwell and the dead might be guarded. Before Therefore, the number aforesaid is fulfilled. The creature will not live again, for my spirit is the creator of life, and Sheol will receive the dead. And again, it is given to you to hear what things are to come after these times. For truly my redemption has drawn near, and is not far distant aforetime. So this time that we're in right today is coming to the close. We're at the very end of these days. And we're going to see when we get to the 12 parts, I'm going to point some things out that many of you might not have noticed or probably not paying much attention to. But hopefully, when I bring this out, you will start to look because we are to watch for the signs. Baruch 24, verses 1 to 4. For behold, the days come, and the books shall be opened in which are written the sins of all those who have sinned. And again, also the treasures in which the righteousness of all those who have been righteous in creation is gathered. For it shall come to pass that time that you shall see, and the many that are with you, the long suffering of the Most High, which has been throughout all generations, who has been long suffering towards all who are born alike, those who sin and those who are righteous. And I answered and said, But behold, O Lord, no one knows the number of those things which have passed, nor yet of those things which are to come. For I know indeed that which has befallen us, but what will happen to our enemies I know not, and when you will visit your works. Baruch 25, verses 1 to 3. And he answered and said unto me, You too shall be preserved till that time, till that sign which the Creator will work for the inhabitants of the earth in the end of days. Notice he says, You shall be preserved till that time, till that sign which the Creator will work for the inhabitants of the earth in the end of days. This therefore shall be the sign, when a stupor shall seize the inhabitants of the earth, and they shall fall into many tribulations, and again, when they shall fall into great torments. And it will come to pass when they say in their thoughts, by reason of their much tribulation, the mighty one does no longer remember the earth. Yes, it will come to pass when they abandon hope that the time will then awake. Baruch 26 and verse 1. And I answered and said, Will that tribulation, which is to be continued a long time? Baruch is wanting to know, how long will this take? And when, and will that necessity embrace many years? He's asking, how many years will this be in progress? 27, verse 1 to 15. And he answered and said unto me, Into 12 parts is that time divided. These are the days we're in right now. Into 12 parts is that time divided, and each one of them is reserved for that which is appointed for it. Check it out. The Creator gives Baruch a mental picture of the extreme events divided into 12 parts that will occur during the last days of Jacob's descendants, the Israelites. These events are reserved for our benefit, that we will witness the destruction that the Creator promised he would execute punishment on all the other nations, and by giving Israel salvation while bringing in the new kingdom. The first part. These are a list of the 12 parts and a synopsis for each one. The first part. In the first part, there shall be beginning of commotions. These are your arguing, your lies, the noise, the distractions, riots, protests, fighting against one another, conflicts, and more. And in the second part, there shall be slayings of the great ones. These are your high and mighty nations. We have already been witnessing the other nations gathering their forces together for the greatest war of all times. They are all part in the worldly affairs, and they are all connected in the ruling of this world. The third part, and in the third part, the fall of many by death. The world has been a witness to millions of people that have died under mysterious means, which increased shortly after the magic venom, and I call it the magic potion. You know, the needle thing was introduced in 2020 to supposedly defeat the so-called C-19 virus, as well as the increase of abortions, murders, drug abuse, and so on. The fourth part, and in the fourth part, the sending of the sword. The sword is acknowledged in the scriptures as all weapons used to bring death to a people, or simply put, to end someone's life. For example, guns, knives, needles, bombs, missiles, nuclear technology, and much more. And in the fifth part, famine and the withholding of rain, food shortages, droughts, floods, insect infestations, water contamination, diseased animals, and so on. And I know that, I don't know about you guys, but we have kept an eye over world events, chaotic weather disasters, and this is happening all over the world. Fires that are burning out of control, whole towns and cities burned completely down. Do y'all know that these fires are burning over chemicals that put a tragic or chaotic essence in the air that you breathe? These are poisonous. When you burn plastic, rubber, food, pharmaceuticals, all of these things that go up in smoke are inhaled by the people. And these are going to spread many diseases, poisonous chemical reactions, and so forth. The sixth part. And in the sixth part, earthquakes and terrors, tsunamis, volcano eruptions, tornadoes, hailstorms, wildfires, landslides, hurricanes, typhoons, cyclones, blizzards, sandstorms, and much, much more. The seventh part, the wanting. This comes immediately after, and especially when people have experienced parts 5 and 6. Most scenarios leave people homeless with no food or medical care caused by these extreme events. The eighth part. And in the eighth part, a multitude of hauntings and attacks of the devils. We live in a spiritual realm here on earth, and we are spiritual beings. Most Israelites are getting back their spiritual discernments to confront the spiritual demons, which allows us to endure until the end. The ninth part. And in the ninth part, the fall of fire, lightning strikes, hailfire, meteorites, volcano eruptions, the tenth part. And in the tenth part, plundering, robbery, oppression, looting, land grabbing, taking advantage of someone's misfortunes, cheating, and oppression. The 11th part. And in the 11th part, wickedness and unchastity, promiscuity, sex trafficking, human sacrifice, abortions, in the third trimester, cannibalism, drinking of blood, witchcraft, and much more. The 12th part. And in the 12th part, confusion from the mingling together of all those things aforesaid, or all the things mentioned above. For these parts of that time are reserved, and shall be mingled one with another, and minister one to another. In other words, you're going to see things, for example, a tornado who have the uh, characteristics of a typhoon or a hurricane, or even create uh, earthquakes during the tornado, which is something that usually don't happen. But these parts, these 12 parts, they're going to borrow from one from another, and some are going to mingle together to create a major catastrophe based on the joining of these two chaotic times. These things are using each other, and they're growing based on the energy one upon the other. For some shall leave out some of their own, and receive in its stead from others, and some complete their own and that of others, so that those may not understand who are upon the earth in those days, that this is the consummation of the times. This is the sign of the end. That's what the word consummation means. So many of those upon the earth in those days will not understand that the consummation or end of days are here. Chapter 28 explains, if you understand in its entirety, you shall be wise, because the Creator will not pick and choose through the good or the wicked of nations, but will befall judgment over the whole earth. This refers to the 12 parts. Chapter 28, verse 1 through 7. Nevertheless, whoever understands shall then be wise. For the measure and reckoning of that time are 2 parts a week of 7 weeks. And I answered and said, it is good for a man to come, and behold, but it is better that he should not come, lest he fall. But I will say this also, will he who is incorruptible despise those things which are corruptible? And whatever befalls in the case of those things which are corruptible, so that he might look only to those things which are not corruptible. But if, O Lord, those things shall assuredly come to pass which you have foretold to me, so do you show this also unto me, if indeed I have found grace in your sight. Is it in one place or in one of the parts of the earth that those things are to come to pass? Or will the whole earth experience them? Protection comes, as mentioned in verse 1, reads as follows. And he answered and said unto me, whatever will then befall will befall the whole earth. Therefore, all who live will experience them. That includes everybody. For at that time I will protect only those who are found in those self same days in this land. What land? The land that he placed his name, or the land that he gave to our forefathers. Y'all know where that land is. And it shall come to pass when all is accomplished that was to come to pass in those parts, that the Messiah shall then begin to be revealed. And Behemoth shall be revealed from his place, and Leviathan shall ascend from the sea, those two great monsters which I created on the fifth day of creation, and shall have kept until that time. And then they shall be for food for all that are left. The earth also shall yield its fruit 10,000-fold, and on each vine there shall be 1,000 branches, and each branch shall produce 1,000 clusters, and each cluster produce 1,000 grapes, and each grape produce a core of wine. And those who have hunger shall rejoice. Moreover, also they shall behold marvels every day. For winds shall go forth from before me to bring every morning the fragrance of aromatic fruits, and at the close of the day clouds distilling the dew of health. And it shall come to pass that at that self same time, at the treasury of manna shall again descend from on high. Yes, we will eat manna raining from heaven again, like it was at Mount Sinai. It's going to happen a second time. 30:1 through 5. And it shall come to pass after these things, when the time of the advent of the Messiah is fulfilled, that he shall return to glory. Now, let me just stop here, because everybody that is in this Christianity New Testament book, read this again. And it shall come to pass after these things, when the time of the advent of the Messiah is fulfilled. Okay, that is a future prophecy. According to the New Testament, that has already happened. See, that's where the lie is in the New Testament, because according to Baruch 30:1 through 5, it has not come yet. That he shall return in glory. He shall, that's future tense. Then all who have fallen asleep in hope of him shall rise again. And it shall come to pass at that time that the treasuries will be opened, in which is preserved the number of the souls of the righteous. And they shall come forth, and a multitude of souls shall be seen together in one assemblage of one thought. And the first shall rejoice, and the last shall not be grieved. For they know that the time has come, of which it is said, that is the consummation of the times, the end of days. But the souls of the wicked, when they behold all these things, shall then waste away the more, for they shall know that their torment has come, and their perdition has arrived. 31, verses 1 to 5. And it came to pass after these things, that I went to the people and said unto them, Assemble unto me all your elders, and I will speak words unto them. And they all assembled in the valley of Kidron. And I answered and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, and I will speak to you, and give ear, O seed of Jacob, and I will instruct you. Forget not Zion, but hold in remembrance the anguish of Jerusalem. For lo, the days come when everything that is shall become the prey of corruption, and be as though it had not been. Verses chapter 32, verse 1 to 9. But as for you, if you prepare your hearts so as to sow in them the fruits of the law. What is the law? The Torah. How come it didn't say New Testament? So as to sow in them the fruits of the law, the Torah, it shall protect you in that time in which the mighty one is to shake the whole creation. Because after a little time, the building of Zion will be shaken in order that it may be built again. But that building will not remain, but will again, after a time, be rooted out, and will remain desolate until the time. And afterwards it must be renewed in glory and perfected forevermore. Therefore, we should not be distressed so much over the evil which has now come as over that which is still to be. For there will be a greater trial than these two tribulations, when the mighty one will renew his creation. And now do not draw near to me for a few days, nor seek me till I come to you. And it came to pass, when I had spoken to them all these words, that I, Baruch, went my way. And when the people saw me setting out, they lifted up their voice and lamented and said, To where are you departing from us, Baruch? And are you forsaking us as a father who forsakes his orphan children and departs from them? Are these the commands which your companion Jeremiah the prophet commanded you, and said unto you, Look to this people, till I go and make ready the rest of the brethren in Babylon, against whom has gone forth the sentence that they should be led into captivity. And now if you also forsake us, it was good for us all to die before you, and then that you should withdraw from us. And I answered and said unto the people, Far be it from me to forsake you or to withdraw from you, but I will only go unto the Holy of Holies, to inquire of the Mighty One concerning you and concerning Zion, if in some respect I should receive more illumination, and after these things I will return to you. Chapter 35, verse 1 to 5. And I, Baruch, went to the holy place, and sat down upon the ruins, and wept, and said, Oh, that mine eyes were springs, and my eyelids a fount of tears. For how shall I lament for Zion, and how shall I mourn for Jerusalem? Because in that place where I am now prostrate, of old the high priest offered holy sacrifices, and placed thereon an increase, an incense of fragrant odors. But now our glorying has been made into dust, and the desire of our soul into sand. And when I said these things, I fell asleep there. And I saw a vision in the night, and lo, a forest of trees planted on the plain, and lofty and rugged rocky mountains surrounded it, and that forest occupied much space. And lo, over against it rose a vine, and from under it there went forth a fountain peacefully. For now that fountain came to the forest, and was stirred into great waves. Those waves submerged that forest, and suddenly they rooted out the greater part of that forest, and overthrew all the mountains which were round about it. And the height of the forest began to be made low, and the top of the mountains was made low, and that fountain prevailed greatly, so that it left nothing of that great forest save only one cedar. Also, when it had cast it down, and had destroyed and rooted out the greater part of that forest, so that nothing was left of it, nor could its place be recognized, then that vine began to come with the fountain in peace and great tranquility. And it came to a place which was not far from that cedar, and they brought the cedar which had been cast down to it, and I beheld, and lo, that vine opened its mouth and spoke, and said to that cedar, Art thou not that cedar which was left of the forest of wickedness, and by whose means wickedness persisted, and was wrought all those years, and goodness never? And you kept conquering that which was not yours, and to that which was your you did never show compassion, and you did keep extending your power over those who were far from you and those who drew near you. You did hold fast in the toils of your wickedness, and you did uplift thyself always as one that could not be rooted out. But now your time has sped up, and your hour is come. Do you also therefore depart, O cedar, after the forest which departed before you, and become dust within it, and let your ashes be mingled together, and now recline in anguish and rest in torment till your last time come, in which you will come again, and be tormented still more. Who are we talking about here? This is Lucifer. He's that cedar. 37 and verse 1. And after these things, I saw that cedar burning, and the vine growing itself and all around it, the plain full of unfading flowers. And I indeed awoke and arose. And I prayed and said, O Lord, my Lord, you do always enlighten those who are led by understanding. Your law is life, your Torah is life, and your wisdom is right guidance. Your Torah is not just law and life, it is also wisdom. Make known to me, therefore, the interpretation of this vision. For you know, for you now, you know that my soul hath always walked in your law, the Torah, not New Testament. And from my earliest days I departed not from your wisdom, from your Torah. 39 verses 1 to 8. And he answered and said unto me, Baruch, this is the interpretation of the vision which you have seen. As you have seen the great forest, which lofty and rugged mountains surround it, this is the word. Behold, the days come, and this kingdom will be destroyed, which once destroyed Zion, and it will be subjected to that which comes after it. Moreover, that also again, after a time, will be destroyed, and another, a third, will arise, and that also will have dominion for its time, and will be destroyed. And after these things, a fourth kingdom will arise. Now y'all know where they got the book of Revelation from, whose power will be harsh and evil far beyond those which were before it. And it will rule many times as the forest on the plain. Remember the forest and the cedar? And it will not hold fast for the times, and will exalt itself more than the cedars of Lebanon. And by it the truth will be hidden, and all those who are polluted with iniquity will flee to it, as evil beasts flee and creep into the forest. And it will come to pass, when the time of its consummation, that it should fall, that it should fall, has approached. Then the principle, or the principate of my Messiah, will be revealed, which is like the fountain and the vine. And when it is revealed, it will root out the multitude of its host. And as touching that which you have seen, the lofty cedar which was left of that forest, and the fact that the vine spoke those words with it which you did hear, this is the word. The last leader of that time will be left alive, when the multitude of his hosts will be put to the sword, and he will be bound, and they will take him up to Mount Zion, and my Messiah, David, will convict him of all his impieties, and will gather and set before him all the works of his host. And afterwards he will put him to death, and protect the rest of my people, which shall be found in the place which I have chosen. And his principate which will stand forever, until the world of corruption is at an end, and until the times aforesaid are fulfilled. This is your vision, and this is the interpretation. Israel, we are at the consummation. We're in those times right now. Look around you. Look at Maui, the fire that burned the complete city. There's now a second fire burning. Look at all the fires in Canada. Look at all these fires around the nations. Look at all the earthquakes, the floods. China has been hit multiple times. Russia, Turkey, uh, Japan, and the list goes on. So keep the Torah. Denounce JC from your heart. If you have ever asked him to come into your heart, then you have to ask him to leave. Follow the Creator's creation calendars, Sabbath, and all the feast days that we are able to keep. Second Baruch, chapter 84. Listen to this. Now I gave you knowledge, which I still live, while I still live. For I have said that you should particularly learn my mighty commandments, which he has instructed you. And I shall set before you some of the commandments of his judgment before I die. Verse 2, 84 and 2. Remember that once Moses called heaven and earth to witness against you, and said, if you trespass the Torah, no mention of New Testament, and this would be the best time to put it there. If you trespass my Torah, that means stray away from it or blaspheme it, you shall be dispersed. We got dispersed for trespassing the Torah, not the New Testament. you shall be dispersed. And if you shall keep it, you shall be planted. This is why we're not in our land. It has nothing to do with the New Testament, but everything to do with the Torah. And also under things that he said unto you, when you were in the desert as 12 tribes together, and after his death you cast it away from you, and therefore that which has been said before has come upon you. And now Moses spoke to you before it befell you, and behold, it has befallen you, for you have forsaken the Torah. Wake up, people. Also, I behold, I say to you, after you suffered that, if you obey the things which I have said to you, you shall receive from Yah, the mighty one, everything which has been prepared and has been preserved for you. Therefore, let this letter be a witness between me and you, that you may remember the commandments of Yah, the mighty one, and that it also may serve as my defense in the presence of him who has sent me. And remember Zion and the Torah. He said, remember Zion and the Torah. Now, don't you think that if the New Testament was part of that book, or an authorized book of his approvals, he would have said so? The Creator says what he means, and he means what he says. If he didn't say it, it's not true. And the Kadesh, land, and your brothers, and the covenant, and your fathers, and do not forget the festivals and the Shabbats. How do you keep the festivals and the Shabbats if you don't know that it starts at the beginning of the new moon, which is the beginning of the month? And give this letter and the doctrine of the Torah to your children after you, and also your fathers handed down to you. Listen, y'all, I don't know no other way to put this. If the New Testament has ever been disproven, it is at this point, because the Creator has not yet mentioned any New Testament. And you can start from Genesis and go all the way through. And that includes the books. That includes the books that were hidden, that most of our people think are pseudepigrapha or lies or fictional stories. This is how you've been misled, because those are the books that gives you the details. They are part of the Torah, or they used to be. They were taken out because of the information that they held. And give this letter and the doctrine of the Torah to your children after you, as also your fathers handed down to you. And ask always and pray seriously with your whole soul that Yah the Mighty One may accept you in the mercy, and that he may not reckon the multitude of your sinners, but remember the integrity of your fathers. For if he judges us not according to the multitude of his free, unmerited favor and pardon, woe to all of us who are born. For those of you who don't believe that the book of Jubilees, Jasher, Enoch, and all the rest are the hidden books of Torah, think again. Watch this. Second Baruch chapter 85 and verse 3. But now the righteous have been assembled, and the prophets are sleeping. Also we have left our land, and Zion has been taken away from us, and we have nothing now apart from Yah and the Mighty One, and what? His Torah. That's the only book. There is no such thing as a New Testament. These Roman paganistic people were clever. They were very educated. They made this book look so authentic. No wonder our people are still glued to it. But it's false, people. It is pure false. No New Testament. Second Baruch chapter 85 verse 12. For behold, Yah, the Most High, will cause all these things to come. There will not be an opportunity to repent anymore, nor a limit to the times, nor a duration of the periods, nor a change to rest, nor an opportunity to pray, nor sending up petition, nor giving knowledge, nor giving love, nor opportunity of repentance, nor supplicating for offenses, no prayers of the fathers, nor intercession of the prophets, nor help of the righteous. People, this means that if you don't get right now, It's coming a time very, very, very near where you will not have this privilege anymore. You will not be able to repent. You will not be able to change. Whatever you were doing when this time comes, you will continue to do. You will not be able to leave it. Second Baruch 85, verse 14 to 15. Therefore, there is, check this out, y'all. There is one Torah by one world, and an end for all those who exist. How many Torahs? One book. One book. Then he will make alive those whom he has found, and he will purge them from sins, and at the same time he will destroy those who are polluted with sins. As far as priests today, listen to this. You know, I taught that there are no priests today, and that goes for all these people on YouTube claiming to be priests of the Most High Yah. You know, you are liars. Further, no, now know that our fathers in former times and former generations had, past tense, had helpers, righteous prophets, and Kadesh men. These were the priests. Second Baruch chapter 85, verse 2. But we were also in our country. Did y'all get that? When we had priests, we were in our country. We were not dispersed, but we were also in our country. And they helped us when we sinned. The priests went and made atonements for our sin. That was the only way it was done. You had to have a priest. The priest had to have a tabernacle. And the priest had to have an ephod, and so on and so on. And they intervened for us with him who has created us, since they trusted in their works. And the mighty one heard them and purged us from our sins. These were the priests. You don't have that today. Now, there were 400 years of silence mentioned too of the mighty one, and this is what he said before 400 years of silence years began. Behold, I will send you Elijah, the prophet, and before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes, and he will turn the hearts of fathers to their children, and the hearts of children to their fathers, lest I come and strike the land with a decree of utter destruction. Malachi chapter 4, verses 5 to 6. Has Elijah been here yet? Has the awesome, great, and awesome day happened yet? Have the fathers' hearts turned to the children, and the children's hearts turned to the fathers? If anyone claims the Creator spoke to them, they are liars. These were the priests. Shalom.